So I was talking about what to do when we are struggling with holiday treats. Okay. What do you do if somebody suggests eggnog or hot chocolate, or they hand you a bag of goodies, or they hand you a plate of cookies? What do you do with that? And we're going to talk about exactly what to do in those situations today. Now, what I do want you to know is that this is tough, and it's tough for everybody, so you're not alone. I also want to let you know that there are really good reasons why people do use these treats around the holiday times. If you don't already know me, I'm Dr. Angela Zechmann. I'm a medical doctor, and I help people lose weight in my clinic in Olympia, Washington, but also in my my course, Journey Beyond Weight Loss, which is an awesome course. We teach everything you need to know to lose weight and keep it off. So what do you do in those situations? Now, the first thing I want you to understand is there is a reason why people are passing out these kinds of holiday treats this time of year. Sugar and flour products affect the brain chemistry. They create a hit of dopamine. Dopamine is the pleasure hormone. They create a hit of serotonin. Serotonin is the comfort hormone or the feel-good hormone. It's different than pleasure. It's just a sense of calmness. And then they also promote oxytocin, which is the hormone, the love hormone. So these treats actually change our brain chemistry and help us to feel more connected to each other. So broccoli doesn't do that, right? So that's why these things are so popular this time of year. So at least you sort of understand the brain chemistry about that, right? The problem is that these treats are also very addictive. And many people have brains where you can't just have one. Like one just triggers you to want more and more and more and more and more. And so you want to recognize that if that is your brain, then you have to protect yourself. Okay. So, again, like we have all of these traditions. My sister likes to make gingerbread cookies. I think what's happening these days is many people they are not having the cookie baking parties that they usually do. They're just making them at home and then distributing them and leaving them on people's porches and that sort of thing. So, again, it's still really making it hard for people. So I have some ideas for how to help you wade through this. So the first thing is, let's say that you got into sugar and flour products and you found that you couldn't stop at just one. And now you're feeling really bad. And you're like, oh, and what happens in our brain is we get what's called the buckets, or actually, if you take the B off and put an F in there instead, I don't cuss, so I'm not going to use the word, but I just want you to think about how is that is actually something that happens in your brain. And then what ends up is you're just like, I just give up. And you're just like, I'll just figure it out after all of this stuff is gone after the holidays. So I want to encourage you not to follow that part of your brain that says, let's just give it up. I want to encourage you to get yourself right back on track as soon as you can. The first thing that you want to do is to use your tools of self-compassion. Okay. So, and if you guys have any comments, they're not showing up. So, just send me a little note and let me know that you are able to see everything okay. And that you can hear. I'm a little bit worried now because we had a hard time with the first go round of this video. So, so send me a little note, let me know you're here. So the first thing that you're going to do if you've been struggling is use your tools of self-compassion. Okay. Everybody struggles, and just allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. Name that feeling. Use that prefrontal cortex part of your brain to name that feeling so that you know what's going on. Okay. So that you can use your prefrontal cortex, name that part of the brain, name that feeling that you're feeling. The next thing that you want to do is you want to have super good compassion with yourself and allow yourself to recognize that you're not the only person that struggles. and then be super kind and gentle. And what we have to do now, if you've slipped, is we have to get you back on track. So one of the best ways to get back on track is to go through sugar detox again. And I will put a link to the sugar detox menu in the comments so that you have that. All right. The next thing is that I want you to start thinking about being a little bit proactive. So if you have an event coming up and you know that there's usually treats involved, you want to make sure that you go to the event with a full stomach. So have your dinner first, or whatever meal. Have a meal first. Don't go hungry, in other words, because you never know what you're going to find there. So, and then bring some snacks along with you. Now, nuts and cheese, like string cheeses, Baby Bell cheeses, very, very portable. Those are great snacks to use. The other thing is you can make your choices ahead of time about what it is that you will splurge on and what you won't splurge on. If somebody offers you something and you have made a choice ahead of time that you're not going to eat that, you can just say no thank you. And no thank you is indeed a complete sentence. You don't have to have any explanations whatsoever. Okay? So feel free to say no thank you. The next thing that you might want to do is, if there are people who have every year given you treats, you might want to let them know ahead of time that you would prefer if they didn't. And you can let them know ahead of time, you know, I'm really trying to work on my health this year, and I don't want to have any sugar and flour products. So I don't really want any cookies this year. And just let them know ahead of time. And this is where the talk that Nancy Levin did in the summit this weekend can come in very handy. She talked about boundaries, and she talked about how sometimes when we make statements of truth like this, we can worry about how the other person is going to take it. So we're like, oh gosh, we're thinking about trying to manage their feelings. Okay. And you don't have to manage their feelings. You don't have to worry about how they're going to take it. This is your truth. I do not want to have this stuff in my house. This is my truth. And you explain that, and then let them handle it however they want to handle it. Don't get involved in their feelings. So that's called setting a boundary, right? And again, Nancy gave a really great talk. I can't emphasize enough how much value there is in that summit. So if you want to get the recordings, again, I'll put a link in the comments for you. The last thing that you might want to do, if somebody does go ahead and give you something, I want you to know that the act of giving and the act of receiving can be, it doesn't have anything to do with what the gift is. Okay. So it is entirely possible to receive the gift and then not eat the food. You can do that. Okay. You can receive the gift and acknowledge the person for their generosity and thank them for thinking about you. And then you can take the gift home and actually throw out the cookies. I don't recommend that you give it to other people because you don't want to be passing drugs around, right? So it's fine to do that. It's fine to say thank you so much and then throw it out. You don't have to eat it. Okay. So don't feel obligated to eat something. And if they come back to you later and say, oh, what did you think about that? You could just say, well, you can either be honest and say, well, I'm not really eating much sugar and flour these days. Or you could say something like, you could just have a little fib. Like, they were great. But I tried not to eat too much, right? So something along those lines. Do what feels right to you. Okay. That's the important part. And again, the more you can train other people around you that you really want to be a healthy person and not have all of this stuff anymore, the better off you're going to be. So I have one Facebook user that says hi. That's all I can see right now. I'm wondering if anybody has any questions. Go ahead and type them in the comments. And let me know. I'm still a little bit worried that something isn't right with this. So again, let me know if everything's going okay. The important thing about all of this is to, first of all, if you're struggling, don't beat yourself up and get yourself back on track as soon as you can. Now, don't allow your brain to give you a case of the buckets. Second thing is to do not be afraid to acknowledge your truth, and Don't try to manage other people's feelings about what your truth is. They can say whatever they want, but what's true for you is what's true for you. And it's up to you to stand and hold your boundaries. Okay. And then the third thing is it's okay to accept a gift and be very, very gracious. And when somebody gives you something, that's an important thing. You want to be gracious with them, but it doesn't matter what you do with the gift afterwards. Okay. And then lastly, if you weren't at the summit this last weekend, we had a lot of talk about all of these different ninja skills. Florence Christophers gave a great talk on sugar addiction. Nancy Levin gave a great talk on setting boundaries. Those two in particular really will help you through the holiday season. We had all kinds of other great talks too. We had talks about emotional eating. We had talks about sleep. We had talks about meditation. The whole weekend was just beyond my wildest dreams in terms of how amazing it was. And so if you weren't able to attend, the recordings are available and I will post a link. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm seeing and hearing it well. Hello and Merry Christmas. So these are just now popping up for me. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate the feedback. I don't want to sit here and talk and not have anybody be able to hear it. So that's great. Okay. So I think I'm done. I wish you guys all a very wonderful holiday season, whatever holiday it is that you happen to be celebrating this time of year. And again, remember that there is a reason why these types of foods are so common this time of year, but you can get through it without indulging. And if you have already indulged, it's okay. All right. I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.